Okay, we're moving on to congruent triangles. A very important word, congruent. So the first thing I want you to do is take down obviously the title, and I want figures which are exactly the same size and shape are said to be congruent. So they are exactly the same size and exactly the same shape are congruent. So if you take that down as the definition of what congruent is, and any time now you see congruent, it means exactly the same shape. So now it might be twisted around. So you can see here, this is the same shape. These are congruent, but they're twisted around. So sometimes you have to look for pieces of information. Congruent, these three are congruent. They're just twisted differently. So they can be twisted in a different orientation in a different place, but they'll be exactly the same size and exactly the same shape. Now, ways they are signified on a diagram. Obviously, you know, if I just go in there a bit closer, if we have here and here, these sides are the same, these sides are the same, these sides are the same, and obviously these angles are the same here, these angles at the top are the same, and then these angles. So all the angles have to be the same, but all the sides have to be the same. So it's there's 4 different ways you can recognize whether something's congruent, and you can be sure there's 4 cases. And what I'm going to get you to do is take these down. So today's class, there's not that much work in it. There's more notes, and it's these diagrams. So I'm gonna just talk through them, because the book has them fairly well laid out. So, number 1, 2 triangles are congruent if 3 sides in one triangle are equal measures to the 3 sides in the other triangle. So you can see these 3 sides in this triangle are equal to these 3 sides. Now they might have numbers on them in the question, or they might have symbols on them like this. So what I want you to do is take down the red box and then these 2 diagrams. And this case, all you have to signify in your answers, if they ask why are these congruent, SSS. So the first case is SSS. So if you'd label the first case SSS, then take down the red box, then take down the diagrams. And SSS stands for side, side, side. The 3 sides are the same. The next case is SAS. So take that down as your next little heading for 2. 2 triangles are congruent if 2 sides are included and the included angle. So the included angle means the angle in between the sides are the same. So you can see here the 2 sides are the same and the angle in between them. So the included angle means the angle in between the 2 sides. And here you can see the 2 sides are the same as these 2 sides and the angles in between those 2 sides are the same. Okay, so your next subheading is SAS. That stands for side, angle, side, and the angle is in between the 2 sides. And then take down the little red box and take down these 2 diagrams. The third way you can tell triangles are congruent, and you can tell we're dealing with triangles here, is ASA. ASA. And you can guess now what that is. It's angle, side, angle. 2 triangles are congruent if 2 angles are the same and the side in between them are equal. So this angle and this angle is the same as this angle and this angle, and the side in between them. Okay, so angle, angle, and this has to be the side in between them. And the last case is a bit different, RHS, and that can be your title. I'll explain what that is in a second. 2 triangles are congruent if they both contain a right angle, the hypotenuse is the same in both of them, and one other side is the same in both of them, either of the other sides. And this stands for right angle, hypotenuse, and side. So it has a right angle, the hypotenuse are the same, and another side. So you can see in this case both right angles, the hypotenuse are both same, and this side is the same. It could have been that these 2 sides are the same, but they actually are the same, but just in the question you mightn't be given that. Obviously everything's the same if it's a congruent triangle. But we're talking about the information that they give us. And we look at this. It has a right angle, the hypotenuse is the same, and the sides are the same. If you were to rotate that, sometimes you'll have to imagine that you're rotating it to make them look the same. Corresponding sides and angles. So just the corresponding side is that this side corresponds to this side. This side, if this side is 7, this side couldn't be 7 and say this is the same. It has to. You have to sort of rotate it in your mind sometimes to make you imagine if they're both in the same orientation. We're only going to do bits of this. So if I look at the example in the book, it says, explain why the 2 triangles shown are congruent. So all you'd have to say, you'd have to look at the 4 rules that you've taken down. the angle is the same, and the two sides either side of it are the same. So that is the side angle side rule. So you'd have to say these are congruent because SAS, side angle side. That's pretty much all you have to do. If I was looking at this triangle, or these two triangles, again they're different orientation and my diagrams aren't great, but we'll just look at them. Again, this angle is the same. The two sides of this again would be SAS. So what I'm going to get you to do is the first few questions. We're going to spend another day on this when we look at different problems. But the first few are just generally, I want you to look at them. Some of them will ask you why they're congruent. Some of them will ask you to identify the congruent ones. And if you have any questions, please do ask.